net change in hospitalizations is down, not as down as much as we would like. Change in intubations is down, and that's always good news because intubations means the person is on a ventilator. 80% of the time when people are on a ventilator, they don't come off the ventilator in a successful way. The number of new people in the state who walked in the door yesterday or were diagnosed with COVID is 1,300. That is down, and that's good news relative to really bad news, which is what was happening up until then, right? We have to remember our calculus of good, our definition of good has changed here. Good is now not terrible, but on an absolute scale, 1,300 people walk in the door with COVID on a single day in the state of New York. That would not be good news in any other context besides the context we're living in. This is Erie County. Buffalo's in Erie County, New York. And you see the numbers. We had a dramatic increase in Erie County, and then basically a leveling flat, little uptick yesterday. Number of total hospitalizations in Erie, 3-day average. Again, basically flat. These numbers, I would not take any of these 1-day numbers, even 3-day numbers, as absolute. This is a new reporting mechanism that just was put in place. So from a statistical point of view, I don't know exactly what the margin of error is, with all due respect to the great statisticians doing this. We've been watching the spread all across the state because this is like stamping out a brush fire. You need to run to where the fire is and put it out there. So we were watching for a spread of the fire from downstate New York towards upstate. Whenever we see a small fire starting, we jump on it right away, testing, isolation, etc. But that's remained fairly constant, and that's also good news. But the point that different regions of the country have different quote-unquote curves. The virus does not hit at the same time, at the same rate. So you hear about different states in the country, and when they're going to hit their apex, when they're going to hit their top, and when they're going to come down. It's different all across the country. It's also different across the state. We've been talking about states like they're uniform, homogeneous entities. Some are more homogeneous than others. When I was in the federal government, I worked in every state. So you have a whole different variety of states. This state, we have very different regions within New York. When you say New York, people think New York City. Yeah, one of the densest places on the globe. You also have upstate New York, where in some counties you have more cows than people. You know, people don't think of New York that way. So as you see variety across the country, we have variety across the state of New York. And you have to watch each one of those individual curves, and when does that region hit a high point, and where is that? Because depending on that region's curve is how you have to calculate your strategy. And you're looking at those curves. How long is the ascent up the mountain? And then how long are we on that plateau? And then how long is the descent from the plateau? Western New York, I believe we're on the plateau. All right, now the question is, how long are we on that plateau, and is it a plateau, or might it still ascend? Downstate New York, it appears that we're on the descent. And the question then becomes, in downstate New York, well, how quickly do we descend? The worst news, and the really ugliest part of my job these days, is telling New Yorkers this news. In Erie County, we lost 7 hospital deaths yesterday for a total of 125. In the state, we lost 481 people. 452 in hospitals, 29 in nursing homes. Again, nursing homes are a central focus and priority for all of us going through that. Where are we today? We're operating with two rules. First rule is do no harm. Second rule is start to plan the reopening. Planning the reopening is just that, plan the reopening. Understand it, calculate it, calibrate it. Nobody's ever done it before. How do you do it? When do you do it? But first rule, do no harm. We paid a tremendous price to get where we are today and make the progress that we have made today. We paid a tremendous price to control this beast.